Welcome to Top Celebrities Data. Today, we pause to remember. Some goodbyes were so powerful. They moved nations. Thousands gathered. Tears were shed. Legends were honored. This is not just about who passed away. It's about how deeply they were loved. Stay with us. And don't forget to subscribe for more tributes like this. Michael Jackson's memorial drew approximately 17,500 attendees inside the Staples Center and over 1 million outside, totaling around 1,017,500 people. His global impact, emotional connection with fans, and sudden death moved millions to gather in tribute. Paul Walker's private funeral was limited to about 150 family and Fast and Furious cast members, but over 5,000 fans gathered at the crash site for a public memorial, bringing the total to more than 5,150 attendees. Elvis Presley's funeral saw around 200 close friends and family inside Graceland, while over 110,000 fans filled the streets of Memphis. His farewell was as monumental as his cultural legacy. James Dean's funeral was held at a local church and attended by about 600 family members and friends. Outside, over 2,400 fans lined the streets in silent tribute, many overwhelmed with grief. In total, around 3,000 mourners paid their respects to a rising star whose light was extinguished far too soon. Steve McQueen was cremated after a deeply private farewell in Mexico, with only about 80 close friends and colleagues present. No public memorial was held, in accordance with his wishes. Despite the absence of ceremony, fans around the world mourned quietly, honoring the legacy of this iconic rebel. Heath Ledger was farewelled privately by just 10 close family members, but his sudden passing shook the world. A public memorial in Perth drew between 500 to 750 fans, who left flowers, candles, and heartfelt messages. In total, about 760 people came together to mourn a talent lost too soon. Marilyn Monroe's funeral was limited to just 30 family members and close friends, a decision made by her husband out of anger toward the media and Hollywood. Despite the privacy, over 3,000 grieving fans gathered at the gates of the cemetery, proving that her mystique and sorrowful story still touched millions. Rock Hudson was mourned in a private ceremony, attended by only 100 to 150 close Hollywood friends. There was no public event, reflecting both his personal wishes and the heavy stigma surrounding AIDS at the time. His quiet farewell stood in stark contrast to the global attention his death later received. James Gandolfini was honored in a major memorial, attended by 1,500 family members, friends, and fans, with another 300 mourners gathered outside the venue. His passing resonated deeply, bridging both personal affection and widespread admiration. In total, about 1,800 people came together to grieve a truly beloved actor. Robin Williams' funeral was held in utmost privacy, with only 100 family members and close friends present. Held in San Francisco, the ceremony respected the family's wish to mourn quietly. Despite no public service, millions around the world held vigils and tributes for the actor who brought laughter to so many. Gregory Peck's family chose a private ceremony attended by just 20 close family and friends, but the public could not be kept away. Over 3,000 admirers arrived independently to pay tribute, an overwhelming response that reflected how deeply he was seen as a man of integrity and humility. Gary Coleman, known for his child stardom and complex later life, had no funeral, no public service, and no attendees. He had clearly requested in his will not to have any memorial. His ashes were quietly scattered, ending a life that had long been lived under a public microscope. Bette Davis was farewelled in a small private church service with only 20 close loved ones. Later, a public tribute with 350 Hollywood peers was held on Warner Bros.' Stage 18, where she had once performed. It was a powerful send-off for one of cinema's boldest women. Joan Crawford's funeral reflected her private and guarded later years. With only 75 family and close friends invited, there was no public memorial. The quiet service contrasted with her once glamorous Hollywood image, perhaps as she wished, a silent exit from the spotlight. Patrick Swayze's funeral was kept small and deeply personal, with only 300 friends and family attending. Known for guarding his private life, he chose a quiet goodbye. True to the humble, family-centered man, he was away from the cameras. Philip Seymour Hoffman was laid to rest in a private funeral mass at St. Ignatius Loyola in Manhattan, with 400 family and close colleagues present. The service was closed to the public, honoring his wish to separate his artistry from the intense spotlight. Humphrey Bogart, one of Hollywood's most iconic stars, had 650 mourners inside and over 3,000 fans outside. The combination of elite attendees and a massive public turnout reflected the timeless appeal of a man who defined classic American cinema. Bernie Mac's funeral was attended by 6,000 family members, colleagues, and celebrities, with another 1,000 fans gathered outside. It was a powerful tribute to a man whose humor crossed all boundaries and brought joy to millions. At James Cagney's funeral, around 400 family and colleagues gathered inside, with 100 fans outside paying silent tribute. The private mass included stars and politicians, offering a respectful send-off to one of cinema's most influential performers. Natalie Wood's funeral brought together 100 close friends and family, including names like Sinatra and Olivier. 200 to 300 fans gathered behind barricades outside, mourning the tragic loss of a beloved actress gone too soon under mysterious circumstances. Rudolph Valentino's funeral became a historic spectacle. An estimated 100,000 people filled the streets of New York, causing riots and hysteria. Inside, 3,000 mourners viewed the open casket. His death immortalized him as the first true screen idol. Carrie Fisher was remembered first in a small, intimate gathering of 125 family members and celebrity friends at her home. Later, over 1,200 fans came together at a public memorial, showing just how deeply she impacted generations of sci-fi and comedy lovers. Judy Garland had a modest funeral inside with only 50 family and friends, but her true farewell happened outside, where more than 20,000 fans stood through the night. Her voice, her pain, and her spirit had reached across the decades and would never be forgotten. Laurence Olivier was quietly laid to rest with 60 close friends and family present. But the true celebration of his legacy came when over 2,000 mourners gathered at Westminster Abbey, Britain's greatest artists and admirers bidding farewell to a titan of the stage and screen. Sean Connery's funeral was held in complete privacy, with 150 close relatives and friends gathered in accordance with his final wishes. There was no public or press involvement, just a quiet goodbye to one of cinema's most iconic and private stars. Peter Sellers' funeral drew about 100 people, including family, friends, fans, and former wives. Held at Golders Green Crematorium in North London, the ceremony reflected the unique charm and impact of a comedic genius who left the world too soon. Chadwick Boseman was laid to rest in a private service attended by just 50 family members and close friends in Malibu. His family kept the moment quiet, honoring Chadwick's private spirit and giving space for peaceful, heartfelt mourning. Lauren Bacall's farewell was held in Manhattan, limited to 50 close friends and family. No press, no public access, just an elegant tribute for a timeless Hollywood icon whose sophistication and strength captivated generations. Debbie Reynolds was remembered in a joyful public celebration at Forest Lawn, where 1,325 people, including family, stars, and fans, came together. It became a dual tribute to her and daughter Carrie Fisher, honoring their unbreakable bond and shared legacy in film and love. Christopher Reeve's public memorial at Juilliard brought together 900 mourners, including actors, fans, and activists. Though his funeral was private, this gathering honored not just Superman, but also the courageous advocate for spinal injury research he became. John Wayne's farewell was strictly private. Just 20 family and close friends gathered, as per his wish. He declined any public tribute, wanting a quiet, unceremonious exit. The Duke rode into the sunset his own way, humbly and without spectacle. Buster Keaton's funeral was a modest and intimate gathering with about 85 attendees, mostly family and a few fellow Hollywood artists. There was no grand farewell, only a quiet reflection of the genius whose timeless comedy still makes the world smile. Christopher Plummer's final tribute was both elegant and modest. About 160 people attended, 120 close family and friends, with 40 respectful fans waiting outside. The world said goodbye to a gentleman actor who gave life to classics from The Sound of Music to Beginners. Tony Curtis was honored in a glamorous yet heartfelt farewell. About 400 people gathered in the chapel, celebrities, fans, and friends alike. Later, a private reception for 200 guests celebrated the dazzling life of a Hollywood icon who never lost his charm. Gene Wilder's farewell was quiet, loving, and deeply personal. Around 90 people were present, 75 close family and friends, with 15 respectful fans paying tribute nearby. His passing reminded the world of the whimsical genius behind Willy Wonka and Young Frankenstein. Burt Reynolds was remembered in a private and heartfelt ceremony, attended by about 150 close friends and family. Held away from the spotlight, the quiet service matched the humility he carried in his final years. a soft goodbye to a bold star. Al Jolson received a grand farewell befitting his legendary showbiz status. Around 1,500 mourners filled the synagogue, while 20,000 fans gathered outside, creating a powerful tribute to the man known as the world's greatest entertainer. Ingrid Bergman had an intimate cremation in London with only 5 close loved ones, true to her desire for privacy. Months later, a public memorial at St. Martin in the Fields welcomed around 1,200 mourners, paying tribute to her grace and international legacy. Elizabeth Taylor was honored through a private Jewish service at Forest Lawn. Around 40 of her closest friends and family attended the quiet ceremony in keeping with tradition. Fans and media were kept at a distance as her loved ones grieved in peace. Greta Garbo's funeral reflected the mystery that defined her life. With only 13 to 20 attendees, the ceremony remained deeply private. Her ashes were laid to rest quietly in Sweden years later, far from the spotlight she famously avoided. Bob Saget's funeral, though meant to be private, grew into a heartfelt gathering. About 300 people, including friends from comedy and Full House, came together in love and laughter, celebrating not just his humor, but the kindness he shared with the world. Henry Fonda had no funeral, no gathering, and no public tribute, just as he wanted. His body was quietly cremated, and the family honored his request for total privacy. One of Hollywood's greatest left the world without fanfare. Marlon Brando's farewell was just as he planned it. 10 to 15 of his closest family and friends, no cameras, no media, no public. In death, as in life, he controlled the spotlight, exiting with silence and mystery. Richard Burton's funeral began with a private church ceremony for about 100 family and friends, but 400 more fans stood quietly outside, listening through speakers, offering a final solemn ovation to the Shakespearean giant. Kirk Douglas was laid to rest in a private service attended by only 10 to 15 family members. The legendary star, who once ruled the golden age of Hollywood, chose to leave this world quietly, far from the spotlight he had so long commanded. Richard Harris's funeral brought together 100 close family members and friends, while about 100 townspeople respectfully filled the rest of the church. The beloved actor was remembered not only as a screen legend, but also as a man deeply cherished by his community. Leonard Nimoy's final goodbye was held in private with 300 close friends and family in attendance. True to his quiet dignity, the beloved Mr. Spock received a farewell that reflected his grace, private, heartfelt, and free from spectacle. John Hurt's funeral was a quiet and respectful occasion. Around 90 loved ones gathered inside, while a small group of 25 admirers stood outside the venue, silently paying tribute to the legendary British actor whose performances touched generations. Bruce Lee's farewell in Hong Kong drew an overwhelming 25,000 mourners, both fans and dignitaries. His funeral became a historic event. People lined the streets, united in grief, to honor a cultural icon who transcended martial arts and cinema. Gene Hackman's intimate memorial in Santa Fe, was attended by around 10 to 12 loved ones, including his 3 children. A private man in his final years, Hackman was honored not with grandeur, but with quiet reverence among those who truly knew him. Which celebrity funeral do you remember most? Leave your thoughts in the comments, like the video, and subscribe for more powerful tributes.